Hi again then guys, and so in a very unexpected twist, Kaz has dropped a 5-car silhouette teaser on his Twitter page for next week, apparently, according to him, and this pack, although only containing 5 cars, which of course many people will still complain about, has been, I would argue, one of the most fan service heavy car updates that we've seen in quite some time, because at least 3 of the vehicles here have been very, very frequently requested. So let's get straight into the 5, and there are actually 2 out of these 5 which I'm not so sure on. One in particular I think I'm probably wrong about, but I'm going to go out on a limb and make a kind of wacky prediction anyway. Now the first one on the top left is pretty obviously, of course, the S13 Silvia. Again, as I said, huge fan service. It doesn't surprise me at all that this is the first Silvia. I think I may have even predicted that. The S15 was a fairly obvious choice, but I think the S13 even more so. It's been a part of the franchise, of course, at least as long as all of the others, and it's just got that kind of initial D era kind of JDM style to it. So that one is fairly obvious. Next one, of course, is already in the game in a different form, the Honda S2000, but not in its street form. So this time, this one, of course, is much more so the JDM fan service, because the one that we already have is the very good, but also very niched, Amuse S2000 GT1 instead. Now the next one, the middle car, this is the one which is by far the boxiest. Now I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that this is an entirely JDM pack, and that may or may not influence whether or not we get a track with it, so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe something like a twin ring Mategi situation perhaps, but again I'm not going to put that out necessarily as a specific prediction, just a possibility. But this one, and my crazy prediction for this one, is the Isuzu Piazza. Now, I don't think it is an Isuzu Piazza, but that's pretty much the only thing that came to mind when I looked at the car, because I believe that all 5 of these are JDM cars, and that is basically just the closest thing that it looks like to me, because as far as the pack goes, it looks to me like we've got a Nissan, a Honda, a Mitsubishi, possibly a Subaru, and then maybe this Isuzu. Now, I don't think it is, as I said, but that's about the closest thing I could recognise from the shape. I tried enhancing the brightness and the shadows and that kind of stuff, but apart from the Piazza, I couldn't really tell what else it would look like. There may be something obvious that I'm forgetting, so I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Or, of course, it could be something completely new, and not necessarily Japanese, of course, just because the other 4 look like they are. Now, the next one, once again, is very, very much so a fan service vehicle. It looks to be either a Mitsubishi 3000 GT or a GTO. Certainly looks like a GTO to me, with the pop-up headlights in particular. Not a car which I ever got a huge amount of use of myself. It was always a bit too big and understeery for my taste, but a ton of people do love it. It's a great Mitsubishi alternative to stuff like the Supra and the Skyline, so it will be great in its own way, doubtless very good off-road as well. And then finally, this one kind of goes 50-50 for me, actually probably more so a 55-45 split, because this one I think could be a Mitsubishi Evo 3, which if you Google that has a very similar shape to a Subaru, especially a 90s Subaru, but ultimately my prediction is that it is a Subaru Impreza WRX from the 90s. Looks from the length of the car that it's probably the 4-door version, but I could be wrong. I'm thinking maybe like the Type R, but I guess the Type R would be a coupe really, so I'm not sure. But I think it's probably a Subaru, but with a definite possibility of an Evo 3 perhaps, judging by the fact that it looks so similar to an Impreza, and of course it has that rear wing, which is very pronounced as well. But of the 2, I think it is probably the Subaru. So ultimately, my predictions are an S13 Silvia, a Honda S2000, a Mitsubishi GTO, probably a Subaru Impreza from the 90s, and my wild card is the Isuzu Piazza. As I said, it's dropping next week according to Kaz, and we'll have to see if it arrives with a track and maybe with weather. But of course, we'll have to wait and see. But that's it overall for my predictions. Of course, stick around on the channel to see if they do turn out to be accurate. And as always, I will be breaking down the entire pack and anything that we get in it, as well as all 5 cars and doing tuning for all of them as well. But that's it for this vid. Of course, I'll see you next time. And for now, as always, thanks for watching.